The city of Miramichi says it's reviewing its protocol on the raising of flags in a local park after peace activists flew the flag of Palestine. A group called the Chief for Peace raised the flag on December 2nd for the civilians, and especially the children, killed in Israeli attacks on the Gaza Strip. The event featured members of area Mi'kmaq communities who spoke out against colonialism and performed ceremonial singing and drumming. They also invoked the phrase, "Every child matters." That phrase is often used to honor the Indigenous people who were forced into the residential school system here in Canada. But at the recent event in Miramichi, that phrase also referenced the thousands of children reportedly killed in the ongoing war. The Gaza Strip has been under bombardment from Israel since October 7th, when Hamas fighters attacked nearby Israeli military bases and towns. By December 11th, the death toll in Gaza had surpassed 18,000, including more than 7,700 children, while Israel's official death toll stood at approximately 1,150 civilians, according to the latest figures published by Al Jazeera. Despite bad weather, more than 150 people assembled at Queen Elizabeth Park, according to the Chief for Peace.
We have to find a little bit of bravery and courage. And sure enough, it's not for myself or for you, but for particularly the children of Gaza. We have to speak. And while I recognize this moment is symbolic, it's what we have. We have the people. We have the love. And only God knows what comes of it. But we come together in opposition to this war machine. And I think they're about to find out what they're up against. We're not calling for violence, and we're not calling for revenge, but our strength is greater.
While the activists called for peace, some local residents saw the Palestinian flag as an indication of support for Hamas, according to the city of Miramichi. In fact, the Palestinian flag represents the Palestinian National Authority, not Hamas. The Palestinian flag has been flown at the United Nations headquarters in New York since 2015. Hamas, the militant Islamist group that has controlled the Gaza Strip since 2007, has a separate flag. The city acknowledged in a statement that the Palestinian flag isn't formally affiliated with Hamas, but said that it is being interpreted by many to indeed be an indication of support for them. The statement said in part, "We wish to clarify and confirm the city of Miramichi does not in any way endorse this organization," meaning Hamas, "or the acts of terrorism they have perpetrated. The intention in this case was to show support for Palestinians, innocent victims, and their loved ones. We share the same support for the innocent Israeli victims and all innocent victims of terror and war." The mayor of Miramichi, Adam Lorden, wasn't available for an interview. A spokesperson said city councilors will review the flag-raising policy in the new year. Well, for more on this story, the NB Media Co-op spoke to Niger Saravia. He's a member of the Chief for Peace, the group that organized the demonstration.
The Chief for Peace is the group of proud citizens of Miramichi concerned with the atrocities that Israel is committing against the people of Palestine. So a group of community members decided to form this group, and we named it the Chief for Peace because we know that the Miramichi citizens, they want peace in Palestine. So, and since Miramichi is known as the Irish capital of Canada, and the Irish people have been historically suffer oppression, genocide, and displacement from their homeland. So the history of Ireland's oppression goes back to the 16th century when the English committed genocide against the Irish citizens. And we also know that the native communities continue to suffer the direct legacy of colonialism, which is an ongoing project in Canada. So for many years, indigenous communities have fallen victim of the countless statutes enacted by the Canadian government, despite the efforts to make amends and reconcile with the indigenous people. Segregation and systematic racism continues to exist. And we are in the land of the Mi'kmaq. So there is a direct connection with the Irish people in Miramichi and the native community in Miramichi. So we decided as a group of community members to create and form this to call for a ceasefire, a permanent ceasefire in Gaza.
The special rapporteur, the United Nations special rapporteur on the occupied Palestinian territories, Francisca Albanese, is urging UN member states to intervene in the crisis, saying there is a serious risk of genocide in Gaza. And as you know, a 7-day ceasefire recently collapsed, and Israel is now pushing its offensive further south in the Gaza Strip, which is the area of land where the Israel Defense Forces, or IDF, previously told civilians to go for safety. Could you talk about the need for a ceasefire to protect human lives in Gaza?
Yes, the situation in Gaza is dire. The inaction of the government to call for a ceasefire is costing innocent lives. So far, at least 7,000, more than 7,000 people have been killed, including more than 7,000 children and 4,000 women have been killed.
17,000, more than 17,000 people and more than 7,000 children, according to the health authorities there. Is that right?
Yes, and they have been killed by the indiscriminate bombardment in Gaza by Israel. So what we're seeing that the Israel, what it's doing is ethnic cleansing and committing genocide at the same time. And the inaction of the international community, the international governments, are letting and providing aid to Israel to continue to commit genocide. We are calling for a permanent ceasefire because it is needed. We don't want to see more kids getting killed. We don't want to see more hospital being destroyed by indiscriminate bombardments. We don't want to see any more journalists being killed. We don't want to see any more suffering in the people in the Palestine, people of Palestine, especially the people in Gaza.
Of course, the term genocide is a legal term relating to a specific definition under international law. I'm just looking at the Convention on the Prevention and Punishment of the Crime of Genocide here. Article 2 states that that in this convention, genocide means any of the following acts, and they include deliberately inflicting on the group conditions of life calculated to bring about its physical destruction in whole or in part. In your view, is that what's happening in the Gaza Strip?
Yes, that's exactly what is happening. It's a deliberate, systematic extermination of a national, racial, political, or cultural group. And that's what Israel is doing with the excuse of trying to destroy Hamas. Israel is using this excuse to exterminate the population in Gaza. And we know that the plan of Israel is to take over the whole Palestinian land. And this is not just happening in Gaza, but it's happening in the West Bank. In the West Bank, since October 7th, the radical settlers have been taking actions against the Palestinian in the West Bank. So far, at least more than 264 Palestinians in the West Bank have been killed, 63 kids included. So what we're seeing that the main idea behind of Israel's attacks in Gaza is to get rid of the population and take over the land. And we know that weeks before, when the Prime Minister of Israel was in the UN, he brought a map where the Palestinians people were erased from that map. The West Bank didn't exist in that map. The Gaza Strip didn't exist in that map. So there is a clear objective, which is the eradication of the Palestinians.
Let's talk about the flag raising and ceremony that took place on December 2nd. Can you describe the event that took place in Miramichi Town Square?
Yes, on December the 2nd, more than 150 people gathered from the community, and we had people coming from other cities as well. And because we were the second city in Canada to raise the Palestinian flag, so we went through the protocols, normal channels. We applied for the in the city of Miramichi to raise the flag, and we were honored by the Mi'kmaq chief and the Native community in raising the flag. And one thing that was really amazing is that more than 25 kids came and they were enjoying and they were learning about this experience that other kids are going through in Gaza. So we raised the flag, and we acknowledge the suffering, and we honor all the victims that are taking, or we honor all the victims in Palestine. So the main idea was to, first of all, to show solidarity with people of Palestine. Second is to get the community involved and to learn about what's going on in Gaza, because the media is telling us, the regular media is telling the population, is misinforming the population about what's going on in Palestine.
What was your reaction when you learned that the town had taken down the flag?
It's pretty upset uh, that we got a pushback from a few citizens, Miramichi citizens, that they were not happy with the raising the Palestinian flag, and but we're still finding out what was the reason behind that. And unfortunately, the flag only was up for 2 days, and it was taken down because of there's a pushback. We know that there is a lot of misinformation, and people are, you know extremist people are taking this opportunity to harass politicians who are being supportive of calling for a ceasefire, who are harassing us, citizens who are calling for a ceasefire. So we know that these people are pushing back in Miramichi as well.
The town of Miramichi said in a statement that its staff originally believed the town's flag protocol would allow for the Palestinian flag to be flown, as it was meant to commemorate the innocent civilians, including children, killed in the war. This is from a statement from the town of Miramichi on their Twitter account. But since then, the town has heard from citizens, it said, who, this is a quote, provided insightful perspectives that while the flag was not formally affiliated with Hamas, it is being interpreted by many to indeed be an indication of support for them. Again, that's a quote from the town of Miramichi. Your response to that, Niger?
Yeah, there is a narrative around the world that is pushing people to believe that the Palestinian flag has something to do with Hamas. The Palestinian flag is represents a country. It does not represent a political party. It does not represent a military group. It does not represent any religious group. It represents the people of Palestine. And this misunderstanding of people and misinformation of people is provoking that connection, that when they see the Palestinian flag, they connected that with a specific group. This is sad because now we know that if people are flying the Palestinian flag, they can be attacked. And we have seen in other countries that people are being punished by putting up a Palestinian flag in solidarity with the people of Palestine. And we're starting to see that in Miramichi as well. So in that sense, people have to realize that if you are having or you are flying the Palestinian flag, it's not that you're supporting a specific group. What you're doing by that is supporting and calling for a ceasefire and supporting the people, the innocent people that is being massacred by the Israel.
Niger, what are your next steps for you and your group, the Chief for Peace?
Our next steps are keep educating the community, keep bringing awareness to the community to understand the conflict and not just to believe what the media is saying. But we have to. It is a process in especially in small towns that you have to bring awareness and explaining and educating the people to understand not just from the October 7 until now, but the whole history of genocide, the whole history of repression, the occupation of Palestine for more than 75 years. And that's our main goal as the Chief for Peace main goal is to bring awareness to the community and to call for a permanent ceasefire.
And one note of clarification, after this interview was recorded, a City of Miramichi spokesperson confirmed that the flag was taken down 2 days earlier than expected. However, it was taken down early due to an error in the count of the number of days it had been up, according to the spokesperson. In other words, it was not taken down because of the complaints that the city received, which have, however, prompted the city to review its policy on flags. Well, for the record, we'll go now to uncut footage from the December 2nd flag raising event in Miramichi. For the NB Media Co-op, I'm David Gordon Koch.
In my language, that means every child matters. And that's the message that I want to start with. Because every child matters. The children here, the children across the ocean, children all over the world. Doesn't matter where you're from. Every child matters. So the first song we're singing, that's what it said. It said, Idasu, Michwaji, Megide Idasu. It means every child matters. So while everybody's gathering, we're going to sing that song. And then I think we'll start very shortly after that.
Palestine!
Free, free 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 Palestine!
Thank you all for coming today from near and far, from communities just down the road and from Moncton and Halifax. Honestly, if it was just 2 or 3 of us here today, we'd be happy and we'd proceed. But to see so many people joining us is even greater. I begin in the name of God, our Creator, the most merciful, the most gracious, and that despite the circumstances of our gathering, we are always reminded by our Muslim faith to thank and praise our Creator for giving us health, safety, and the ability to meet today. Many of us have never met before. It's unfortunate that we're meeting in these circumstances, but I think something in all of us said, there's a time to be silent, and at some point, you also have to speak. And my friends, I think almost every single one of us has realized at this point that being silent doesn't work, and we have to find a little bit of bravery and courage. And sure enough, it's not for myself or for you, but for particularly the children of Gaza. We have to speak. And while I recognize this moment is symbolic, it's what we have. We have the people. We have the love. And only God knows what comes of it. But we come together in opposition to this war machine. And I think they're about to find out what they're up against. We're not calling for violence, and we're not calling for revenge, but our strength is greater. And you're going to find out in the short little ceremony that we're going to have here today, perhaps some of the strength we do have, which we didn't realize, because maybe we don't look at each other anymore, and maybe we've been silent for too long. So I start by saying welcome. I'm not happy to be here, and it's not a celebration, but I welcome. First of all, welcome to all the children here today. The babies, the toddlers, the young kids, and the older kids. We've lost too much. We've suffered too much on this land as well as in Gaza. And we truly realize now what a light and blessing our children are. And as we remember and honor the thousands, 8,000, 9,000, it's hard to even say these numbers, maybe more. We honor those children who have been killed in less than 2 months, massacred by our war machine. That we also honor the children right here with us today, that they don't repeat our mistakes, that they don't remain silent as they get older, perhaps like we had for too long, and that they have a different courage going forward. And with our example, maybe it's possible. We also welcome the mothers and the grandmothers, those who carry life. We welcome the fathers and the grandfathers and all the families and those who came alone just as you are. And we welcome all the elders and those with spiritual knowledge. And in particular those who have joined us from Espanubinaj, Naraoganag, Amerabanagag, Red Bank, Eel Ground, and Burn Church First Nation who've made the effort to join us today. And again, this is not a celebration and it's not a party. but I think it's important for some of us who are new to this to understand and recognize the importance of the magnitude of what's going on and some of the emotions. For some of you who don't know, there are many people in attendance today, myself included, who are carrying genuine pain and immense sadness and have come here with heavy hearts today. I'm not afraid to say it. It's what we do with it, I think, going forward that's going to be important. And the hurt within our souls from what we've witnessed over those 2 months coming out of Gaza, which continues to this moment. Just this morning, more babies and children have been killed in Gaza by bombs that we build and we supply. It's unfathomable. These numbers, it's hard to even speak. It's hard to say. And as we are only human, there's an anger that comes with the helplessness that we can't stop this as parents, as neighbors, as communities, just as human beings. And we recognize that anger, that we cannot do anything to stop this in this moment. And while we accept these emotions, this is also not a protest in the conventional sense, because we wanted to do something different. You can call it a protest if you like, and I think it is that. But I think today it's something greater and something different. Because I hope out of this there's some seeds that we don't lose touch. And that we're no longer any silent against this machine. And today, for a short time that we're coming together, maybe for an hour from near and far, we decided to put our phones down, away from the constant stream of traumatic images coming out of Gaza, which, yes, hurt. And instead, we're going to face each other, and we're going to look at each other, and we're going to share our prayers and our memories and our grief, and we will stand together in defiance of the colonial war machine which promotes and profits off the death and destruction of innocent civilians. It happened in this land, and it's happening in magnitudes unfathomable in Gaza.
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
Free, free Palestine!
I'm not going to go on for longer, but there's one other thing I have to share with you all before we continue. In the Muslim tradition, we are taught, and listen closely because I think it's relevant to all of us. You are not a true advocate for justice if you publicly support social causes while oppressing your family or friends in private. Justice begins with those closest to you. Fulfill the right of the Creator. Fulfill the rights of creation. And don't forget the rights of those closest to you. And with that, it would be irresponsible and wrong of us to recognize the crimes of colonialism in Gaza without just for a second recognizing the crimes of colonialism right here on this land. And that some of you who are new to this country or new to New Brunswick or not new but did not know something, I'm going to share just for 2 minutes before we proceed. That, and it hopefully is not a surprise, but it's time that we all educate ourselves as well. Just a few kilometers down the road in Eel Ground First Nation, a few more down the road further than that in Red Bank, and a few kilometers the other direction in Burn Church, over the last 100+ years, that there were children, babies, infants, 1, 2, 3, 4 years old, taken from their parents, taken from their homes, and sent to residential schools across this country, and it happened right here in this land. And they suffered unspeakable abuse and unspeakable trauma. And yes, there was murder that occurred there too, if we want to be quite frank. And you'll understand how this relates to Gaza in a second, because that happened right here and many of us did not know and don't know the scars and the wounds that are associated with it. Thousands of these children never came home. Thousands from coast to coast, including from the 3 First Nation communities right around Miramichi. and many thousands more were left damaged and to deal with the wounds all alone. You know, we have members of the Mi'kmaq First Nations who have joined us today who have actually lived this in real life, in person. It's not a lie and it's not a tale. And let me tell you, they're here with us today because they understand this pain. And what strikes me, and this is the part where it really hits home, is that the same forces, and let's call them political forces, I'm not going to name names because this is not the day for it, the same political forces that look First Nations communities in the face from coast to coast and deny them their humanity and deny the crimes that occurred in residential schools and deny the existence of the mass graves outside these schools and say, it wasn't that bad. It didn't really happen. Despite first-hand testimony and every residential school in this country of these atrocities, of the death of infants and babies and children being buried around these schools, and the same political forces that tell First Nations communities, oh, those graves don't exist. Well, we know they do, because we've heard these stories and we've seen these cheers. Well, guess what? It's the same political forces, the colonial system, which tell us, prove to us you're not terrorists, jump through these hoops, prove to us you're human beings before we'll acknowledge your children being butchered and slaughtered in Gaza with our weapons. It's the same colonial system. And this is how we bring it all together, that this realization hits us all at the same time. You know, to have to be told, prove you're not a savage before you can mourn babies and children, our children, on this land and in Gaza. This is what's actually called racism and colonialism. But the fact is, the colonial system isn't as much in denial here as it is in Gaza. And it's unlikely that they will ever accept the truth of these crimes, because you know what? It might raise the question of who actually are the savages? Is it those who build the bombs, transport the bombs, drop the bombs, celebrate the bombs, and call us savages and terrorists when we try to mourn our children? And you know what? Today we bypass the political class and we bypass the suits. We've been there. We've done that. We are done asking for permission to mourn our children. Those days are done. I'm not knocking on the doors and windows of any politician asking for his permission to say, can we please mourn our kids? Can we please mourn these civilians? Will you acknowledge our humanity? Those days are done. Instead, today, we put them aside and we put each other first. And we'll get our strength from each other. And we'll build something from here going forward. They can ignore us, and they have summarily ignored us. Won't even acknowledge our existence and our presence when we ask for the most basic acknowledgement of humanity. But we put them aside today, and we'll face each other, and we'll move forward in a different way. We have to start thinking different of how we approach politics, how we spend our money, how we spend our time, and how we interact with each other. With that story, you know, we're very happy and privileged to have allies and communities. I'm not an Arab, and I'm not from Palestine, and I've never been there, but those are my children, because as a father, I recognize it's hard to get through this speech, you know. But we recognize the pain. My good friend, Kigpasan Ward from Eel Ground and Red Bank is going to share a few words with us. Kigpasan means the rain in the Mi'kmaq language, so his English name is Rainer. And he's part of the rejuvenation of his people, his tradition, and his culture, which ties into what we're up against here, and he's just going to share a few short words with us. So I'm going to welcome Kikbasan to the stage.
I'm really tall, so I don't need a stage. I want to say thank you first for all of you being here. It's very, very important. In my culture, we're meant to introduce ourselves, and we introduce ourselves in the way we know how. So, Nindela Wasin Kipisan Rainer, Nindalea we Metabanagia. My name is Rainer Ward, and I'm from Metabanagia. I met Zayd recently, and he has a giant heart, and he has a big heart for people, and he cares about this cause. And like you, and like many of you, I've been watching and seeing the devastation and all the terribleness that's been occurring, and it breaks my heart. It truly saddens me. And what's happening over there is evil. What's happening there is evil. You know, the oppression and the killing of children, the killing of mothers and sons and families, and the destruction of people in their ancestral homelands. It's disgusting and it's deplorable, and we can't stand for it anymore. As a global population, as a community, we cannot be a part of that kind of injustice. And it's truly sickening. Ceasefire now, peace now, because this can't go on. And to see the death of children and babies, it's very much like what happened to us here. In our homelands, we were colonized. We were killed in our homes. We were denied access to our traditions, to our cultures. And there was a cultural genocide, and they tried to scrub us away and rub us away. And now we're treated like aliens and treated like strangers in our own home. But it gives me a lot of pride to see the rejuvenation in our medicine, in our music, in our culture, in our heritage. We have young men like my two brothers here, Liam, Peter. They come and they drum, and they bring that music and that good spirit so that we can all come together and be as one, you know. That medicine is for all of us. Our culture is to bring everyone into the circle. The circle is very sacred to us, you know, to bring that medicine in and all those teachings. And the circle has 4 quadrants, the 4 times of life, the 4 seasons, the 4 medicines. All these things happen in 4s. And my friend Zayd, when he was applying for this and rallying for this, he went on for 4 days so that we could do this flag raising and we could show this message that we are here for the people of Gaza, and we're here to say that this is not okay what's happening in Gaza, and that it will never be okay. So I want to thank Zayd for doing that, and that message of 4 and that strong, powerful message is like a sacred fire. When death happens and when bad things happen in our community, we light a sacred fire, and it's lit for 4 days. So just like that, 4 days, Zayd fought for 4 days, and now this flag will be raised for 4 days. So I want to thank Zayd for acknowledging us and acknowledging our medicine. I don't have much more to say than that besides that I thank you for acknowledging us. Zayd said that he would not do this ceremony today without acknowledging the first peoples of this land. And I am grateful to be, I'm not descendant from my parents, I'm ascendant from my parents. I have the benefit of growing up in community with our cultures and our medicines and my Mi'kmaq people. And every day it's getting stronger and it's getting better. And so with that, I'm glad that you people are here and that you're here and you're in your medicine and your culture and in your ways, because we welcome you and we honor you being here. And we're happy to have you here to be our neighbors, because you come in peace and you come in love. My elder Albert always tells me that when all of this is gone, when all of this is done, the only thing that is left is love. And so that love has to carry us, and that love has to take us to the next chapter, take us to peace. So in my language we say Wantahodi, which means peace. So I wish you that Wantahodi. I was asked to come here in friendship, so I'm gonna drum a little song for you that we call the friendship song. And so this friendship song has kind of been like our anthem around here lately as we try to spread love and spread friendship. This song started out as a war song, as a war chant. And the people, the children, of these different tribes that were at war. They couldn't understand each other and they couldn't speak each other's language. So they would sing these songs back and forth. And so this song went from being a war song to being a friendship song and a song of peace for the children. So today, as we pray for the children and we pray for peace, I'd like to leave you guys with this song. My drum is a little cold, so it might not sound the best, but it has a good message. And so before we start, we do 4 honor beats on our drum. That acknowledges the 4 directions, the 4 seasons, the 4 medicines, and it acknowledges the Creator. Thank you.
We just had a request from Elder Doc Francis, who said he'd like to share something for the kids, so I'm going to give him a second here.
I just wanted to share this. Standing out there, I seen the kids playing and just out in the rain and enjoying it. And that's a real blessing. When we talk amongst each other, we have to look at us as brothers and sisters. We are of one. We have the same mother, Mother Earth, Father Sky, grandfather the sun, grandmother the moon. We're also related. We have that connection. So again, I want to thank you all for coming, especially for the children. It's awesome to see them playing like this. It's normal.
I know it's cold and we've been here already, many of us, for some time. We're going to get to the flag raising. We had 2 other people who had planned to share a few words, but they could not make it. There's no hierarchy here. I'm not a professional activist. I have no qualifications to be in front of any of you speaking, but we had some people who were willing to share some words. Given that they couldn't come, I'd like to offer anybody, before we get to the flag raising, if they'd like to say something or share anything.
Hello, everyone. We are here today representing the organization New Brunswickers for Justice and Peace in Palestine. We're based in Moncton, and I would like to share with you that we express sincere gratitude for G4Peace Group for their initiative in raising the Palestinian flag and for inviting us here together to unite today. And your efforts in fostering a united and aware community is really appreciated. So thank you for bringing us together for this important cause. We also want to acknowledge the City of Miramichi for their supportive stance in fostering a peaceful and inclusive environment. So I would like to introduce who we are. So we are a group of diverse individuals with no affiliation with political, religious, or ethnic organizations, but our common relationship is a commitment to humanity and justice for the people of Palestine, particularly those in the Gaza Strip. We are here today because we stand in solidarity with the call for peace, and we strongly condemn any form of violence, especially against Palestinian civilians, including children, women, and the elderly. We mourn the destruction of vital infrastructures, such as hospitals, schools, churches, mosques, along with the heartbreaking loss of innocent civilian lives. Since October 7th, over 17,000 Palestinians have been killed in Gaza, including more than 6,000 children and 4,000 women. And around 1.8 million people, which is over 80% of the population, has been displaced across the Gaza Strip. Additionally, at least 238 Palestinians have been killed in the West Bank, including 63 children. Also, over 3,000 Palestinians have been arrested in the West Bank by Israeli forces since that date. So what is our message? Our message revolves around demonstrating empathy for those experiencing oppression in Palestine, affirming that the people in Gaza are entitled to the same rights as any other human being, and raising public awareness about the world's silence in the face of ongoing genocide and the application of double standards, which oppress essential human principles. So our goal includes urgently advocating for an immediate and permanent ceasefire in Gaza, ensuring the unrestricted flow of essential resources, including medical supplies to the people of Gaza through the permanent opening of the Rafah border crossing point, and facilitating the restoration of water, electricity, and fuel supplies to Gaza to ensure the operation of all hospitals and provide people with access to clean water and food. So thank you all for being here today, for supporting this cause.
Free, free Palestine! 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 Stop the genocide!
Stop the genocide!
Stop the genocide!
Stop the genocide!
Stop killing kids!
Stop killing kids!
Stop killing kids!
Stop killing kids!
Stop bombing hospitals!
Stop bombing hospitals!
Thank you for your words. Is there anybody else, before we proceed to the flag raising, who would like to share anything or say anything with the group? All right, so that gets us to the flag raising. That's the last thing to mention. And
You want to give a speech? Tell Kami to.
I think, and I said it earlier, but I think we have to reiterate it. There's a time to be silent. There's a time to be scared. There's a time to be nervous. And there's also a time to speak, a time to find a little bit of bravery, and a time to find a little bit of courage. So, Dr. Advali found a little bit of courage to come speak.
Yeah, I always have it, though. Not much to share here. I mean, it is painful, it is sad, you know that. Just something I want to share. I want to picture something here. Many of us are physicians. I'm orthopedic surgeon. I've been watching a video of a surgeon who amputated his son's leg without without anesthesia. His son died. Died of the pain, not of the surgery itself, died of the pain. Imagine the picture. What do you think? How inhumane is that? How this can happen? And it's supposed to be a civilized world, but it's not. This is disaster. This is we call genocide. I mean, killing kids, killing women, civilians. They're not armed. They're kids. Just I watch it every day. It's heartbreaking. A reporter, his family died, all of them, bombarded. He was reporting. He stood there. They showed him his kids. They're all dead. He prayed. We pray as Muslims when we bury our dead people. He prayed. He went back and reporting the same time. This is fate. Those people they are the owners of this land, as you just mentioned. I mean, this is their land. They're being killed, they're being pushed out of it. So we support Palestine, sure we do. And we condemn whatever Israel is doing there. It is to be condemned. I hate the double standard. I hate what the Western media does. Brainwashing. They're fooling us. They think we're stupid. We're not. We see things. This old era is gone. Brainwashing people. No, it's done. We know what's exactly happening. I'm very happy that we share this with our colleagues, with our nurses, with our everybody. People know. Oh, that's what I like about the social media. People know what's happening. They can't fool us anymore. Thank you.
And on that note, it's going to end. I agree. We don't believe these lies anymore. We will never listen to them about this being about democracy ever again. We're never going to listen to them lecturing us about human rights again. Those days are done. We've seen the machine for what it's for. We've seen how they deny our humanity and how they can just kill our children without any consequence. And that's exactly right. We call out the Israeli war machine, the American war machine, and the Western war machine for what it is. It's a genocidal machine that profits off of the death of our children. And my friends, something after today has to change. I don't have the answers, but this perhaps is a seed and a start. So with that, unless there's anybody else who'd like to share their thoughts, their feelings, their emotions, anything at all, don't be shy. This stage is for all of us to come together just for a moment. We thought closely about how we'd like to honor this beautiful Palestinian flag. It is beautiful and it has a beautiful meaning. And we support the Palestinian people and the children and civilians in Gaza. And one thing that came to mind with raising this flag is that, you know, we were thinking that perhaps we're going to save the children of Gaza. Well, in reality, I think what's going to end up happening is the children of Gaza are going to save all of us. Best believe we would not have woken up if not for their sacrifice. And this hits hard. This flag represents, because of their sacrifices, because of their resilience, the oppressed people across this world, from coast to coast, from in every continent, you will see this flag raised in solidarity, and people understand that this represents something truer, and this represents beauty, because this war machine is not going to beat us. So we thought about how we would raise this flag, and it's only fitting, because our Mi'kmaq friends that are so gracious to join us, that they're going to sing a song called the Mi'kmaq Honor Song. And it was written by an elder named George Paul from Red Bank First Nation, who I spoke to last week in person. He couldn't make it, but he sends his greetings and his blessings. He was taken from his home at the age of 8
from his parents, kicking and screaming by the agents of the colonial state. He never returned home the same, but his journey led him to this song called the Honor Song. It's a powerful song, and as our friends graciously start to perform it, I'm going to call Emil and Camilo to come up to the flagpole. And in this moment, you know, together, this was our one chance. We are the first city in this country that had the opportunity and the privilege to raise this beautiful Palestinian flag, and we are very lucky to be living in Miramichi. As I start the song and our children raise the flag, close your eyes, say your prayers. 8,000 babies, 8,000 children, probably more, that we can count in the thousands over less than 2 months. Hold those close to you. Don't forget this moment. We're the first in Canada to do it. We honor those children, we honor those civilians, and I really am thankful for you all to come together today. I ask our drummers to start the song, and our children will then raise the flag thereafter. Thank you, everybody.